Mr Chairman.
Call Sue Kedsley.
Thank you very much,
just got to my
Mr Chair. Mr Chair, Darren Hughes really put the nail on the head because really the real purpose of this bill is very, very clear. It is to suppress the student voice. It is to suppress student activism, suppress student politics, kill off student life, so that the next time the national government rolls out, next year if they're re-elected, when they roll out their next round of anti-student, anti-democratic cuts, such as, for example, removing the interest-free clause in student loans, there will be no students left to protest and demonstrate against it. This is what this is about. It is about trying to suppress democracy, to kill off student politics, so that when they roll out some of their awful policies, there won't be students left to demonstrate against it. Now, like others in this chamber, I was a member of the student executive of Victoria University for 2 years, and it was the most politicising experience. It was the most politicising experience of my life. And this, of course, is what the government doesn't want. It doesn't want to have a student politics, a student executive, which politicises people. So I got onto the executive as a rather naive young woman, 18-year-old, and I became quickly radicalised. We had marches on Parliament. Of course, in those days, it was a political place. We're anti-Vietnam protests. It was very exciting, it was certainly the highlight of my days at Victoria University, and it radicalised me. And this is what the bill is intended to suppress. Admittedly, some student unions at the moment are not very political, but they have the potential to become so, and they want to kill off that voice and suppress the student life. So there'll be no one left. It's just another way, just like getting rid of all those councils in Auckland and the Environment Canterbury, another way of just suppressing democracy, suppressing dissent in New Zealand. Now, of course, students are extremely poor, so if they are forced, if they're given will you pay voluntarily to join the student union, the chances are they won't, because they'll probably rather spend it on a keg of beer or paying for their accommodation. So what will happen with this, when this goes through, is that slowly the student union will wither away, as like the communist state, wither away, and student life, with it, many of those wonderful services that student unions provide, the student gym, the health services, all of those things, the student representatives on the university councils. So those things which are integral to student life, which are part of the whole campus, which give the campus vibrancy, slowly that will disappear, and we will end up, and I remember I went to Victoria University in the 90s at the height of Rogernomics, and I went around to the campus and it was dead as a dodo. I went around, I did an interview for a magazine, and there was nothing. The only club that really had any members was the tramping club. There was nothing else. It was just an awful, and people said it was boring, it was dull, there was no student life, and that was under the effect of Rogernomics. And this is what will happen. It's the chilling effect that Mr Hughes talked about that will happen on our campuses, and there'll be no one left to protest against the appalling policies that they have in the back burner ready to roll out after the next election. There is no need for this bill. Others have said there is already freedom of association. They can have referendum. Students don't want it. And it's just yet another example of the government just bulldozing through its changes, refusing to listen to people, refusing to listen to the students. And this is causing cynicism and alienation amongst New Zealanders, that a government is just successively ignoring the wishes of the people, 87% of students. So they want a student union, They don't want this bill. They don't want this so-called freedom of association bill.
I call Colin